Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Commodity TV and a new episode of our online interview series. We want to talk today, unfortunately for a long time, but now it finally worked out, to Paul Huet, the CEO of Karora Resources. Paul, good morning to the US. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Johan. How are you? It's good to see you.
I'm fine. Yeah, good to see you. Always a big pleasure. It took a bit of time to get you in front of the camera, but we finally made it. I'm really happy. I'm a shareholder of the company. I have to disclose that upfront, of course. And I must say, I'm totally happy what you have achieved over the last 2 years. This is really outstanding. You have a fantastic gold producer created here in Australia. And now I saw your news on I think it was the 8th May, actually, which I want to start with the interview. That you are unlocking now also the lithium potential of the company. I mean, we should maybe say you are not switching from gold to lithium. It was just there, right?
Yeah, Johan, you're absolutely correct. Look, the one thing we did not want to do is stretch our team or complicate our story. We have been working on this lithium for a couple of years now. We have lithium companies around us in Australia. We're surrounded by other lithium companies that have market caps 500 to almost $1 billion. We'd been approached by a number of different groups, big groups in lithium, 7 different companies, and we started doing our own internal look. So once we started reviewing it, we hired CSA Global. We started reviewing our own opportunities. We identified an opportunity to create value for our shareholders without using the cash we have from the gold or the nickel, and without separating or using the time management of the senior team, which is really important, right? We've got to remain laser-like focused on our growth plan. We've got the gold in front of us. We've been very aggressive year after year after year on the gold. We're now starting to inject nickel into the next year and at a much higher rate. So creating this entity in the lithium was a great opportunity for our shareholders, and it's led by none other than our very own Graham Sloan, who we're very, very happy as new MD. So people were always saying, "Oh, Graham's left." I kind of chuckled. Graham's never left. He's been working very hard with us and Cali Metals to make sure that this lithium gets started up, and we do generate some value for our shareholders. So this is a free option for our shareholders on a lithium play. So very exciting, and it won't distract us or the senior team from our focus and getting our growth story completed.
Okay, super. So the question for me is, as I'm a shareholder, will I receive Kali Metals shares? Will Karora hold them? How does that work after the IPO? Because we saw that you want to raise approximately between 10 and 12 million Aussie dollars, yeah, which would be great to fund, let's say, drilling and stuff. But how does it work? Is Karora then holding those? I think it's 45%, right?
Yeah. So, Johan, well, we've yet to decide that. And no matter what, it's going to create value for our shareholders. In the beginning, for sure, Karora will hold it. There's all kinds of different options we can have afterwards. And we really want to see where Cali Metals does go after the IPO. It's expected to IPO later in the year, so before the close of 2023. So there's a number of opportunities for us to create value for our shareholders, and that hasn't been crystallized just yet. We just need to get the IPO done and then evaluate down the road what's the best way to return money to our shareholders, return value to our shareholders. So let us get it done first. We've done the hardest work. We've created the spin out. We've created the opportunity. Let's IPO this thing, and certainly, again, I'd say it's a free option for our shareholders that will be happy from it.
Okay, super. Now that's great, and great to hear, and I'm really glad on that. Let's come to your gold production and what's going on there. So I saw also you had a news, I think it was on the 17th April, that you had the best ever quarterly gold production achieved. I mean, you guys walk from record to record. That's amazing.
You know, when you're working in a growth story, you're almost expected to have record after record after record after record. So you're correct. So 2022 was a record year for us at 134,000 ounces. And I remember talking to you 4 years ago, and we didn't even have guidance. We didn't even have our first mill. So we've come such a long way year after year after year, delivering on our guidance. This year's another big step up for us between 145 to 160,000 ounces. And you saw we come out guns a-blazing here in Q1, right at 40,000 ounces. It was a tremendous quarter. I'm very proud of Bevan, our new MD, Lee Junk, who I'll talk about here in a minute. But we have really come out strong in the first quarter, and it's going to be a good solid year. We're setting ourselves up to have a very strong year.
All right, then, I mean, we were talking just about that you probably might hit that new record here again, for sure, that you can really move on with the 40,000 ounces per quarter. Let's hope for it. But I think something what is also very important, what we should talk about is that you had fantastic drill results. Yeah, you have enlarged the mineralized strike length of the shear zone, and I mean your intersections with 6.5 grams of 26 meters, 46.5 grams over 7 meters. This is much more and much higher grade than you are mining so far, right?
Johan, you can't help but be excited to discuss these results. They're phenomenal. They're outstanding for this district. So when we consider what we have been doing for the last 4.5 years since I've been here, we've been mining on two shears, A Zone and Western Flanks. We've been confined to those two shears. We started out 4.5 years ago, Beta Hunt having, and it's our flagship, Beta Hunt having about 400,000 ounces of gold, measured, indicated, and inferred. Today, Beta Hunt has over 2.4 million ounces. And the only reason that our shareholders and us get to enjoy this success from the drilling is because we renegotiated those royalties. Had we not done that, we wouldn't have spent all that capital. Now we're enjoying this. What's really exciting about those drill results you talked about, the 6.5 gram, 26 meter wide, and then the 46 gram over 7 meters, is we've been mining those two shears, A Zone and Western Flanks, at an average grade of 2.5 gram. Now, when you start considering where are we going or what can we do next, how can we change our story? Well, we've identified new shears, the Fletcher you're talking about, Cowsill, Mason, Sorensen, Larkin. The only one of those new paralleling shears that has been identified that's in resource is Larkin. Therefore, all the others are outside of resource. What's exciting about this is that we've been constrained to mining two shears. The future is we're going to start mining on a number of shears. We will be able to blend these grades. When you start to look at every other shear, whether it's Cowsill, Mason, Sorensen, Larkin, and you just saw the drill results. You know some of the drill results from Fletcher. You know the same information we have. The grades are all higher than the 2.5 gram. They are either 10% all the way to 200% higher than the 2.5 grams. So for us, what we see in our mind is that we're going to add more shears, and even the Western Flanks at depth is increasing in grade. This is phenomenal for us. We've been, again, when I think back on the last 4 years, we've been only able to mine two shears, and we've had no luxury of stepping outside. Johan, you and I have known each other for 15 years. My career in Nevada, I was mining 22 stopes a month. In order to get that high grade that we had, the 1 ounce per ton, I needed to blend about 20 stopes. When we start blending stopes at Beta Hunt and start mixing some of the Western Flanks with A Zone, with Fletcher, with Cowsill, with Mason, with Sorensen, with Larkin, our grades could come up. If we get Beta Hunt above 3 gram instead of 2.5 gram, you're talking that 180 to 200,000 ounces a year just from Beta Hunt. How can you not be excited with that? We have our own internal mine plan that has about a 10-year mine life. This is the longest mine life I've ever had in my career. I've been mining 35 years. I've worked for a lot of good companies, Karora being the best. absolutely no doubt this is a beast. Beta Hunt is a beast. We continue to drill it. There's a lot more. It's open on strike. It's open at depth. It just continues to yield more results as we continue to drill. And I haven't even talked about the nickel, which I think we're going to talk about soon.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, that's also a question from my side. But just before we come to the nickel, do you think that like the level of 200,000 ounces a year is something which you could stabilize, or do you want to go even higher? So what is your let's say optimized game plan? Because I think it's always a matter of how much money do I invest, what I might get in return, but also you have to look on the mine life and on the exploration side. It's a bit of the weighing of the factors, right?
Yeah, Johan, I don't think you're ever going to change. You are an aggressive man, my friend. You are very aggressive. Listen, the truth is, the first thing we got to do is get to 200. Remember, we were
Yeah,
zero 4 years ago. We didn't have guidance. We haven't been around for
exactly.
10, 20, 30 years like a lot of our peers. We've been around for a couple of years here now. Let's get to that 200,000, but let's do this.
Hmm.
Along the way, let's do something that no other gold operator can do. Let's inject some nickel into it. We're talking about, and I'm just going to
Hmm.
go there. It's too important not to go there. With the nickel prices the way they are, Johan, we're targeting 500 nickel tons per year. Now, you think back,
How
Beta
much?
Hunt was a
500
nickel
nickel
mine.
tons per year.
Yeah, Beta
Yeah.
Hunt was a nickel mine for 35 years.
Hmm.
Johan, they used to produce before us anywhere from 3,500 nickel tons to 4,000 nickel tons per year, every year, year after year. There's not one metric that people haven't done at Beta Hunt that we can't repeat or do better. Everything they did on waste development, ore tons, waste tons, drilling, we have been able to repeat or do better. And the best example I can tell you is when we got here 4.5 years ago, that infrastructure was doing about 30,000 tons of ore a month. We're doing 100 to 110,000 tons of ore a month. That's triple the production out of the same ramp. So a mine that had been doing 30,000 tons a month for 30 years, we've managed to increase the ore tons by 3 times fold. So if they were getting 3,000 to 3,500 nickel tons per year, you're talking 6, 7 times what we're currently doing. So there's no reason why we can't repeat that same success. And once we get there, when you talk about getting to 200,000 ounces of gold a year, 180 to 200,000 ounces of gold a year, plus you add
Hmm.
an additional 3,500 to 4,000 nickel tons a year, this is a game changer for us. We have
Hmm.
$1.3 billion, Johan. Listen, $1.3
Hmm.
billion of nickel from a drill bit. In the 35 years that mine ran, they mined 66,000 nickel tons. That's what was extracted from that mine at very high grades, anywhere from 2 to 3% nickel, and very, very clean nickel. We already
Hmm.
have
Super.
34,000 nickel tons, and that's where we're heading now. The infrastructure we're putting in 2023 with the new ramp, and we broke through that new ramp ahead of schedule and on budget, and the series of 3 ventilation raises will allow us to gain access to not only gold, but new nickel areas, and we'll be going into new virgin areas in 2024. We've been mining remnant
Hmm.
areas of nickel for 4.5 years. This is a game changer for us as we look into the future. We're not only delivering quarter after quarter strong records and strong gold profiles, but we're also setting ourselves up so our shareholders can really be rewarded with the additional nickel that we're going to be getting into. And along comes Lee Junk, our new MD. Lee Junk is now the MD of
Hmm.
Australia. He's replaced Graham. Uh, Graham was always going to
Hmm.
go run the lithium thing. Lee is more of a nickel expert than I am. He's a really strong operator. He
Hmm.
understands capital markets. He did a very thorough due diligence on Karora. It took him almost 5 to 6 months to do a due diligence on us, but we're very happy that he's joined as MD. He's a very strong advocate and very strong senior person that will help lead us into the next chapter of Karora, where we are not just focused on the gold, but we are focused on the lithium. Or sorry, the nickel. You can see why it's so important that
Nickel, yeah.
we scalped off the lithium, because we have so much in front of us with the gold and the nickel. There's not a lot of companies
Mm-hmm.
in the world that
Mm-hmm.
that can share that same enjoyment where they have gold and nickel like we do. I don't know of any in the planet. So it's very exciting. And when we think of the future and where we're going, we have a number of additional gold shears now. A whole lot more than we've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of mining 2, we can start blending 6 or 8. All of them are better grade. The better grades of Western Flanks are coming into
Mm-hmm.
our future. We have the second mill now, Johan. Why do we keep scoring these records?
Mm-hmm.
Well, on January 1st, we had a second mill. It's the first year we've had 2 mills running. And even though the mill Lakeshore was 14 months ahead of schedule, we're still able to fill both mills. A lot of the questions I've been getting asked are what's happening with the both mills? Are you doing a lot of work to one or the other? The answer is no, we're actually
Mm-hmm.
running both of them. Higginsville is running, Lakewood is running. We're feeding Lakewood,
Mm-hmm.
or actually Higginsville or Lakewood, depending on whichever one, with some stockpiles that we've had. We had mined some stockpiles in 2019, 2020, 2021, where all those costs were behind us. So we're able to put those into the mill much sooner than we had ever expected, Johan. So for us, the
Mm-hmm.
future is very bright, and we're just starting to gain some really good momentum and strong traction here. And we don't have any value today in our share price of that exciting nickel.
Yep.
And it is exciting. Look, it's so exciting that BHP has spent, I don't know, $100 million, and don't quote me on the exact number, but it has to be close to that, to revive a concentrator in Campbell. So we used to ship all our nickel ore, Johan, to Linister, which was 440 kilometers away. We now ship our nickel ore to Cambelda, which is 4 kilometers away. So this helps us on
Wow.
costs. It helps us on emissions, everything that we're
Mm-hmm.
trying to do as a company. So very exciting for us. Our future is very
Mm-hmm.
exciting. We have a long life in front of ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. I see it the same way, and especially I think the nickel option is outstanding in terms of generating additional cash flow, additional profits. That is super. The question now to me is, and I got that also from several shareholders, the questions. Um, what is the debt still in the company? Can you repay that, let's say, within the next 12 to 15 months? How does it look financially wise? I think last statement I saw was like around $60 million in the bank, if I'm correct. And so how does that look like? And how is the development of your AISC per ounce?
Yeah, Johan, great question. So look, we ended the year close to $70 million in cash. We're in a very strong financial position. You know, we generated close to 40,000 ounces in Q1. Gold is at
Mm-hmm.
record prices in Australia. And look,
Mm-hmm.
I got to say, 2,900, 2,700, 2,800, sometimes even over 3,000. We don't hedge our gold. We are very clear that our gold is in the open market. We'll do a couple forward sales within a quarter,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes just for planning, but we take advantage of these massive gold prices. So when we look at our balance
Mm-hmm.
sheet, we ended the year close to 70 million. When I think about the debt, this is simple to me. It's always been the same response. We sold Dumont in 2020 to Waterton. We were paid a number up to $48 million US. We got $18 million US right away when we sold it. And then we stopped spending all those fixed costs, which really helped us. But we're still owed $30 million US. That's equivalent to our debt, Johan. There's a very strong likelihood. I'm not saying 100% for sure, but we have good indication that $30 million will be paid to us and our shareholders in 2023. Should that come in 2023, that just wipes out the debt clean. Then we have our cash
Mm-hmm.
balance. We have no debt. A little bit of debt isn't harming us in any way, shape, or form. So look, I don't worry whatsoever with it, because I do
Mm-hmm.
know that one day I'm going to wake up and someone's going to say, guess what? Dumont sold. We're going to get paid the remaining balance of that. We're in very, very good shape. Now, with respect to all-in sustaining costs that you talked about, look, I think we're one of the few out there that's all-in sustaining costs is quite good this year. You can't deny that everywhere in the world, all-in sustaining costs are increasing. Look, some of our peers, I've looked at some of the numbers, I've watched them come out, some of the guidance. Some of our peers are guiding $1,600 to $1,800 an ounce US for all-in sustaining costs, Johan. I just thought, wow. I know that we're feeling some of the cost burden, but we have the advantage of nickel. Lee has been a big addition here in his first 6 weeks. Him and Bevan are helping make sure that we don't have high turnover rates, which is very important for us, that our productivity rates can continue to increase as we're growing to 2 million tons per annum. So, look, I'm very confident that once again, we will have a strong performance this year. And 2023 is going to be a good year for us and our shareholders.
Definitely, I love to hear that, as I am a shareholder, as I said. So the big question to me is then, do you see a possibility in 2024 already, maybe to return cash to shareholders via dividend, share buybacks, stuff like this? Is that something you might consider for the future?
Yeah, listen, Johan, I will never say no to a dividend. I'm actually a believer in dividends. I don't think
Yeah, and you are also a big shareholder,
I am.
right?
I am. And I would never ever be the one to say to you, absolutely not. What I would say is we would evaluate that at the time. Do we pay a dividend? Do we exercise the NCIB where we buy back shares? Or is there more value for our shareholders in a drill bit? So we would always look at what's best for our shareholders. Look, from the beginning here, I was looking at a statistic yesterday, Johan. So I joined the board in 2018. In June of 2018, I had a banker tell me what the market cap of this company was. It was 20 or $36 million, Johan. In June of 2018, we had a $36 million market cap handle. Today we're sitting at about 950 million. So we have always put our shareholders first. We have always thought what's best for our shareholders. It's why we focus so hard in the beginning at getting the mill, at reducing the royalty at Beta Hunt, at eliminating the royalty at Higginsville, at eliminating the royalty at Ramelius. So every step of the way, we made sure, how do we return more investment to our shareholders? So your question about a dividend, I would always say we need to remain open-minded. I would never ever say never. I would say it's always going to be at the forefront, and we'll evaluate when the time's right.
Okay, super. Perfect. Paul, thank you very much. That was a great update. And I think all my questions are answered, and also the questions we got from shareholders. So, yeah, thank you very much. We wish you all the best. And yeah, we talk soon, I would say.
All right, Johan, it's a real pleasure to see you again, and I wish you all the best. And thank you to all our shareholders over there in Europe. We're really grateful to have you guys. Stay with us. There's a lot more to come.
Yeah, super. Thank you. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was Paul Huet, the CEO of Karora Resources. And you heard it. The time is bright. The time looks good. The future looks fantastic. And Karora set a new record with almost 40,000 ounces gold produced in the first quarter this year. But also the nickel looks great. That's a fantastic option. They are further growing. They are further, exploring. They are extending the strike lenses. They have 2 mills now working, and also, as you heard, only $30 million of debt is left, and that will be repaid also as soon as possible. So everything looks fantastic. The stock is around $5.50, $5.60. As you know, I'm always love to do my chart analysis with the point and figure. I see again the 750, afterwards 950, and then it could easily go to 12 Canadian dollars per share. So we are absolutely positive. Paul and the team is doing an exceptional job. That's exactly how it should be. And I think the development looks further extremely good. So check out the company. Thanks for watching us, and bye-bye from Switzerland.